The sun hung heavy over the quiet suburban street, spilling a glare across the cracked pavement of the old animal shelter. Inside, the scent of disinfectant mixed with stale hay, but no one noticed it, not when a heavy silence swallowed the air seconds after the shelter door swung open. A small wheelchair rolled in, and at its center sat 8-year-old Ilani Ward, her dark curls framing her fragile face, her fingers trembling ever so slightly from effort. On the other side of the corridor, behind thick metal bars, a massive German shepherd named Cows erupted in snarls so fierce the staff jumped. His bark ricocheted off the walls, violent and raw, a sound that had sent even trained officers stepping back. Yet Ilani did not flinch. Her white hazel eyes simply fixed on him, steady and soft eyes filled with a pain deeper than any teeth could inflict, and a courage no one expected from a child who could no longer walk. That moment, that meeting, would change everything the people in that shelter thought they knew about bravery, healing, and the unexplainable bond between broken souls. If you believe in kindness, miracle moments, or second chances, pause for just a moment, and please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel RW Insights. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Ilani had been paralyzed for 11 months since the accident that stole her mobility and her father in one violent instant. Her mother, Ria, tried every day to pull strength from somewhere, anywhere, to keep going. But raising a paralyzed daughter on her own, while drowning in grief and medical bills, had turned her into a shadow of the vibrant woman she once was. Still, once a week, no matter how exhausted or hopeless she felt, she took Ilani to the shelter. Not because they were looking for a pet, her mother made that clear again and again, but because the therapist insisted animals could help Ilani emotionally. Ria didn't understand how that was supposed to work. Ilani barely spoke. She barely smiled. She barely tried anymore. But she kept asking to visit the animals, and Ria never had the heart to say no. Cows, however, was an entirely different story. He had been a decorated police dog, fierce and loyal, trained to attack on command. He had saved officers, tracked criminals, and endured situations most humans never would. But one night during a raid, a gunshot blasted too close to him. The explosion of sound damaged his hearing, traumatized him beyond repair, and turned him volatile. The department retired him immediately and transferred him to the shelter, where he spent his days pacing, growling, lunging at anyone who dared step near. Trainers declared him unadoptable. The city planned to have him put down within weeks. But Ilani knew none of that. The moment her eyes connected with Cows's, through the bars, through the chaos, something inside her stirred for the first time in months. Ria pushed her forward, nerves already tightening. "Maybe we should see the cats instead," she whispered, glancing uneasily at the snarling shepherd. "This one is dangerous." Ilani lifted her hand slowly, her fingers trembling with emotion but determined. She didn't speak, but her actions stopped her mother cold. She wanted to stay, to watch him, to understand him. No one could explain it, but she felt drawn to that cage where a creature just as broken as she was stared at her with fury masking something else. The shelter volunteer, a red-haired young man named Corbin, approached with caution. He's not good with visitors," he murmured. "We usually keep people away from this row." But Ilani didn't move. She just stared, breathing quietly, absorbing every detail of the dog's trembling body, the quiver in his muscles, the wild look in his eyes that wasn't just aggression. It was fear. It was grief. It was confusion, and she recognized it because it lived inside her too. Cows slammed his paws against the bars again, teeth flashing. Ria jolted backward. Corbin flinched. But Ilani didn't. Her small hand tightened around the armrest of her wheelchair, the wheel squeaking as she shifted forward by herself. Her voice, soft and rusty from disuse, finally escaped her lips for the first time in weeks. "He's scared," she whispered. Ria froze. Corbin blinked hard. They exchanged looks, shock, disbelief. This was the most Ilani had spoken since the accident. That minute became the first of many. Every visit afterward, Ilani made her way to Cows's cage. She sat in silence, sometimes humming, sometimes simply watching him pace. The snarls never stopped, not at first. But over time, they lessened, softened, grew hesitant. Cows began to pause when he saw her, his ears twitching, his head tilting, his body lowering slightly from its usual combative posture. Each time she rolled forward and extended her hand, never touching the bars, just allowing him to see her open palm, something in him flickered. Corbin, fascinated yet cautious, began tracking the changes in a notebook. "This is impossible," he muttered one afternoon as he observed Cows quietly sniffing the air toward Ilani instead of lunging. "He doesn't act like this with anyone else. Not even me." Rhea began to hope, tiny pieces at a time, that maybe these visits were doing something for Ilani. Her daughter's shoulders loosened a little. Her lips twitched sometimes. She even whispered things to Cows, though no one else could hear the words. It didn't matter. He did. And for some mysterious reason, that was enough. Then came the day everything changed. The sun poured through the shelter windows, creating long slants of gold across the floor. Aileron, the shelter director, stern, tall, and exhausted from budget meetings, walked the hallway with a clipboard in hand. He stopped cold at Cows's cage when he saw the little girl in the wheelchair sitting inches away. "Corbin," he barked. "What is going on? How did she get this close?" Corbin hurried over. "Sir, she's been visiting him for weeks now. He's calmer with her. I think." Aileron cut him off sharply. "This dog is set to be euthanized next Friday. He's unstable. This is dangerous." Ilani felt the words hit her like a blow to the chest. Euthanized. The word echoed through her like an explosion. She wheeled back, staring at Cows with horror. The dog sensed her distress instantly, growling again, pacing, snapping at the air as though trying to defend her from something he couldn't see. Rhea gripped her daughter's shoulders. "Sweetie, it's okay. He's just not well enough to." "No!" Ilani cried out, louder than she had spoken in nearly a year. "He's not bad. He's scared." Cows stilled. Absolute silence filled the hallway as the dog's eyes fixed on the paralyzed little girl. He lowered his head slowly, pressing it against the bars. Not a growl. Not a bark. Just a quiet, trembling acceptance. Rhea gasped. Corbin's jaw dropped. Aileron's clipboard nearly slipped from his hands. Ilani wheeled forward with shaky arms until her knees almost kissed the bars. She raised her small, trembling hand, placing it inches from the dog's muzzle. "Don't take him away," she whispered.